Welcome back to the JCPod, partner with Stare Down Sports. Stare Down greatness. Man, you see it up top. 71 days away until NFL Week 1. I believe August 23rd is when we officially have a college football game. So if that's the case, we're talking 8 weeks, about 2 months and like 4 or 5 days. Man, football's about to be here before we know it. But you know how it goes. It's summertime. We talked about it last week. We're going to be breaking down the AFC South. I do apologize for the delay for the day. Won't lie to you. I just got home a little bit later than I expected yesterday. Didn't really have too much time to record and actually say a lot of what I wanted to say. So I'm like, hey, there's no point in rushing. I might as well save it and just We'll talk about it more on Wednesday. And then obviously NFL news-wise, I won't lie. We'll talk a lot more of the NFL news on Thursday. There's just not too much to go over. And one of the news items we're going to talk about today when we talk about the Colts, that are the major ones. So it's like, yeah, we can hold off on that for the time being. So pretty much today's going to be simple. Like I said, we got the Colts we're talking about today. We got the Tennessee Titans. Give you my breakdowns, my bets, coaching changes, projections for the 2025 season. All that fun jazz. So without any further ado, I think we should talk about the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee Titans. Coaching change-wise, I don't believe they really changed anything. John Fassel's now going to be their special teams coordinator. They added a pass game coordinator, it's a cornerback coach and a passing game coordinator. Interesting. But yeah, so basically the biggest one is John Fassel becoming their new special team coordinator to replace Colt Anderson. Past that, pretty much everything else the same. I mean, we got a passing game coordinator change, Titans coach change, senior offensive assistant special teams coach. No major news when it comes to the coaching ranks when it comes to Tennessee Titans. If we look at this division from last year, I mean, if you were a Colts fan, man, that was tough because there was definitely for most of the season it felt like the division was gettable for majority of the season. I mean, Texans finished at 10-7, Colts are 8-9, Jaguars are 4-13, Titans are 3-14. But I know we're talking about the Titans, but for a Colts side of it, real quick, I mean they were really close to having it. They legitimately, if they got way better quarterback play, probably could have stole the division with how lousy the Texans played last year at points, especially with how bad the offensive line was. But we'll talk about Colts later, Texans tomorrow. When it comes to the Titans, like I said, they were 3-14 last year. Abysmal season. It was their first season without Brian Vrabel. First season with Brian Callahan in. Obviously, he didn't have a lot of his guys. He was basically taking over a roster, mixing in some of his guys and then some of the guys that were there before. But yeah, 3-14, not a good way to start. They were a 1-7 on the road. They ended the season with 6 straight losses. Will Levis, yikes, he had some bad moments throughout the year as well. It was just a mess for Tennessee Titans. But won't lie to you, since I'm a Colts fan, this was a division I watched very closely. I'm not gonna say I fully predicted it, but I won't lie. I predicted them to be bad, not that bad. Like they being first overall draft pick bad, it's like, wow, that was a different level of bad. I didn't expect them to be. But like I said, they 3-14. Can't get over that enough. 3-14 last season. So what did 3-14 get them? Got them a new quarterback. If we're looking at the depth chart, you got Cam Ward as starter. Will Levis is his backup. Running back wise, you got Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears is still there. Julius Chetnut is the new guy coming in, along with Khalil Mullins. Wide receiver wise, you got Calvin Ridley, Tyler Lockett, who got released from the Seahawks earlier this offseason. You got Jacob Conquo. That's tight end. You got Traylon Burks as well, Van Jefferson. So I'll admit, their wide receiver room drops off a cliff very quickly. They have a lot of young names where it's a lot of young guys where it's like if they can, basically one of those things where it's like if one of these guys can build a name for themselves, there's a really good chance it's their spot to keep. Not a lot of big names at wide receiver, I guess is the best way to put it. Not a whole lot of big names. And then offensive line wise, I think Peter Skrinsky's probably, or Kevin Zeitler, J.C. Latham, Lloyd Cushenberry, Dan Moore. Not a horrible offensive line. Not the best by any means, but not a horrible offensive line. Sebastian Joseph Day, Devondre Sweat, Jeffrey Simmons, Draymond Jones, Cody Barton, Otis Reese, Arden Key, L'Jarius Sneed, Amani Hooker, Xavier Woods, Jarvis Brownlee Jr., and Roger McCreary. Round out your starters on defense as of right now. Only one dealing with injuries, L'Jarius Sneed, but I'm assuming he should be fine. And able to... I don't think there's anything wrong with him. I think he should be fine and should be able to come back. But that's something I guess we'll have to keep an eye on. But offensively, it's going to be where I'm most curious with this team. I guess a little bit of defense too. It's always just weird when you go from a coach like Vrabel who very big defensive mind. Hey, we'll win games however we need to. Run the ball with Derrick Henry. Play defense. To now it's like, all right, you got Brian Callen in there, who is more of a, I would probably say, more of an offensive guy over defensive. Then you bring in Cam Ward, and you have Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears as your running back. So that kind of just screams like, hey, we'll be throwing the ball a decent amount. This is just over the last 3 years, just a bit of a change offensively, obviously, which is weird. Biggest thing's going to come down to, I think, like, how much does Cam Ward develop, and can they get... I don't think their games were horrible last year, but there was just some games, like, offensively for sure, they looked horrendous. But defensively, there was just nothing they could do other games. But, man, it was just a bad year bad year to be a Titans fan in general. Because, I mean, you got games like you lose to the Bengals. Start off the season, lose to the Bengals by 10. You lose to the Bears by 7. I guess they started off the season with the Bears. Excuse me, I was looking at the preseason. Yeah, you lose to the Bears by 7. You lose to the Jets. I mean, you lose bad to the Packers. Defense gives up 30. Defense giving up 24, 24, 30, 31. Lose 20-17 to the Colts. Give up 34 to the Bills. Give up 52 to the Lions. I mean, 2017 it's a bit closer, a bit better. 27 to the Chargers, 23 to the Vikings. I mean, you're just looking at some of these scores. They were just giving up massive. I mean, towards the end of the season, locked in a little bit, won games. They lost to the Commanders 42-19. But then to round out December, I mean, they lose the game 10-6, lose the game 37-27, lose the game 38-30. As you can see, they're really locking it. End the season 2013 score and then giving up 23. So, I mean, it just... Defensively, yeah, they couldn't stop anybody. Then offensively, like some games they were putting up points, other games they were giving the other team points. I mean, I don't solely put this on defense. I also put it on the quarterback, putting him in bad positions, turnovers, putting him in bad positions. There's just a lot of bad with the Titans last year. So hopefully going into this season, there's going to be a little bit better of a switch. I mean, you would think there immediately would be with Cam Ward coming in to replace Will Levis, but we're obviously going to have to... We're just going to have to see. Because if you look at their schedule, I don't think it's the easiest, but it's definitely not a super hard schedule. I think they're somewhere about middle of the pack. To start off the year, they travel to Denver, home for the Rams, home for the Colts, travel to Houston, travel to Arizona, travel to Las Vegas, home for New England, travel to the Indy, so they're done with the Colts by October. Home for the Chargers, Week 10 bye, pretty good bye to have. Home versus Texans, home versus Seattle, home versus Jaguars. Damn, they have a 3-game road stretch, home away, 4 home games in a row, including not including that bye week. Then they go back to 2 away, 2 home, 1 away. With rounding out, you got home versus Texans, home versus Seattle, home versus Jaguar, away versus Cleveland, away versus San Francisco, home for Kansas City, home for New Orleans, away for Jacksonville. So just looking at that schedule, like I said, I don't think it's a horrible schedule at all. Definitely some favorable teams in there, like you have Arizona, who is probably gettable this year. You got Jacksonville, obviously, who's potentially gettable. You got Cleveland, Seattle. I think the Rams are going to be decent, so probably not them. But like I said, this is definitely like a hardest schedule. No primetime games, I don't believe, for them as of right now. They have hella 4 o'clock, I guess, not hella 1 o'clock games. That's what I meant to say, and a couple 4 o'clock games. But yeah, schedule-wise, I think they're over-under win totals at like 5.5. I lean the under just for the fact that I wouldn't be shocked if they go over. I think this year they will improve and probably win about 6 games, but over-under at 5.5, I'd rather bet the under because maybe there's a chance that Cam Ward might need a chance to adjust to the NFL. I mean, we are seeing younger quarterbacks coming in who play a lot more football coming in, and right away they're good, like Jaden Daniels. Played pretty good right away when he came in. C.J. Stroud played pretty decent right away as soon as he came in, so... And I understand he didn't play nearly as long as college as some of these other guys, but you're starting to see where some of these more tenured quarterbacks are starting to catch on very quickly. So that's the part I'm curious in. Basically, it comes down to, like, can Cam Ward catch on? Because if he can catch on, offensively, they have enough to where they'll be decent. I think they're building for basically, like, 2 or 3 years from now. Like, this season, probably not. Next year might be, like, their baby, where it's like, all right, we'll improve a little bit more. Maybe get to, like, 8-9 wins. And then I think that third season is where they really can step up, but... I don't know. If you can get a lot out of Cam Ward this season, maybe you can steal something. But I see this being I see the Titans more as a threat 2 or 3 seasons from now. Like not this next upcoming season, but the season after that. I can see them start becoming really threats. It feels like this might be a year where they start to figure it out. I mean, if Cam Ward's their guy, they're going to have their quarterback. They just need to start figuring out some of these other positions. But yeah, now we'll get to some more of the betting side of it because, like I said, we can actually talk about some numbers because, like I said, we'll start off with the over/under. Like I said, I lean the under here. This is going to be another team in the AFC South. I'm probably not going to take too much on the Titans because there's a lot of watching I really want to do. Really want to see, like, all right, how does Cam Ward look in year one? Who's his favorite target? Because I already, excuse me, by the way, I don't know why I keep yawning. Xavier Restrepo, that's a guy I'm very interested in. I think he went undrafted. I believe he's either went undrafted or he's a very late pick from the Titans. He's going to be basically, I'm assuming he makes the team, obviously, he's going to be one of the main, he might be a good target for Cam Ward just because him and Restrepo had that connection in college at the U. So that's something where it's like situations like that where it's like, I want to wait a little bit longer towards we get closer to the season. But there are some numbers I do want to jump on or I at least want to talk about that kind of intrigue me. But like I said, we'll start with the over-under for the Titans. Under 5.5 wins. Yeah, that's what I think is like the number where it's set at, or I guess the line that's where it's set at. Oh, man, the Colts number moved. I like that. Under 5.5, plus 110. Like I said, this is going to be written in red because it's a lean. I'm not taking this, but if I had to pick, I'm going to pick the over-unders in every episode. I do lean under 5.5 wins for the Titans, which is, like I said, that's plus 110. I see this being more of like a 6-win, 7-win team, but at best, like probably 7 wins. But an over-under, I'm not really too tempted to take. I wouldn't be shocked if they had a worse year. But I don't know, man. That's kind of where I'm torn. I just don't know, like, I definitely see them doing better than 3 wins. That's for sure. I just don't know. All right, is that going to be like double it and make like 6, 7 wins, or is that just going to be like, hey, instead of 3 wins, we got like 4 or 5 this season? Like that's the part where I'm kind of torn with. So that's why I lean the under there. I was looking at passing props for Cam Ward, but I just can't get myself to pull the trigger on a few of these. For example, Cam Ward to throw for 3,200 yards, minus 114 either way. I thought about taking the under, and then the more I kind of sat on it a little bit more, it's like, I just don't think I want to take anything that wise. Because I just generally, because his under 3,200 passing yards, like I said, minus 114. Him over 18.5 passing touchdowns is minus 132. I think that's the stat I do want to attack if I'm going to pick something. Because like I said, the under 3,200 like is tempting, but I just don't know. Like, and it goes. I guess it goes the same way with the touchdowns. I just don't know how much they're going to throw. I think they're going to throw a lot more because I don't have any inside track or knowledge or anything. But this feels like I said, if I'm projecting them kind of be better in like next season or following season, obviously they don't want Cam Ward to kind of like lose his head and just make a bunch of dumb decisions. But it'd be good for them to let him just kind of like, hey, let's throw. Say if it was like last year and they want to run 40% of the time and throw 60. Maybe you throw 70, 75 and you run the other 25 and you let Cam Ward just like, obviously you don't want to do too much to where it gets to a point where he's predictable, but I think you got to let Cam Ward do a little bit and like get some extra throws in games that he probably, like if it was a normal game, they're like trying to win, quote unquote. You let him throw a little bit more instead of running a little bit just to get him that experience. I think the best thing for him would just get the NFL experience because I think the arm looks great. Just like that. I don't know how to put it. The arm looks great. Watching him play quarterback, he looks awesome. But fundamentally, there's a lot that can be, I guess, like locked in on or locked to. I don't know the way. Worked on, locked in on. It's not like everything's bad. There's just some small stuff that's like, hey, if you can like kind of fix it and make him not. I know he's good at like expanding plays or anything, but like, hey, if we can lock him in on like making throws at a set time, doing stuff like this, because like we know what he can do when he can make the special play, but we want him to make the routine plays easy, like stuff like that. Bunch of the cliches to say about the young quarterbacks. Like he does have some of the stuff he genuinely does have to work on. So that's where it's like the under 30, like the over under 3,200 passing yards. Like that's a pretty good. He could have like 29. He just have 3,000 passing yards. That's a decent season, I feel like. But I do like I said, that's one where I'm kind of torn on. So I just kind of took it off the list. And then over 18.5 passing touchdowns. It's basically one point whatever, 1.2, 1.1 touchdowns a game. I think there's going to be some games where he has, I I think he can throw for a touchdown every single game, especially like if they truly get down at a certain point. I feel like there's going to be some games where maybe he has like 3 touchdowns, other games where he doesn't have 0, but I just think there's a lot of potential with Cam Ward, so I've been looking at head stats the most on the team when it comes to that part. But like I said, I think I'm going to lock in at the 18.5 passing. I think I'm going to lock in at the 18.5 passing touchdowns and just stick with that. But I'd be lying to you if I said I wasn't nervous about it. It's by far not my favorite future, but I do want to try to lock in at at least like 1 or 2 in futures on most, if not every team. And that's just one where it's like I said, lean a little bit. Kind of nervous because obviously we haven't seen his NFL career yet, so there's nothing to project to it. But assuming he stays healthy, I think those numbers are doable. But yeah, I'd rather just take the touchdowns because I think he could have like a 20 touchdown season. I mean, who did we just talk about last week that like didn't throw a lot of he doesn't throw for a lot of touchdowns normally? Bryce Young. That's what we just talked about him last week. He had 15 and 11 all of last year. I think easily Cam Ward can do that. And now I'm saying Cam Ward's better than Bryce Young. I'm not doing any of that stuff. If Bryce Young was able to throw for 15 touchdowns last season and he only played in so many games, and the Panthers looked that bad at points, I'm sitting here like, I think Cam Ward can be a slight bit better than that. So 18.5 I think seems doable. Calvin Ridley over 900 passing or receiving yards. That is one that I think is not bad. I'm probably gonna write it another one of those where we talk about later in the season. Like I'll bring it up later in the season if I end up getting a little bit more confident in it. But I don't know, man. The more I thought about it, like I said, the Xavier Restrepo getting in there, he could end up becoming a target. Chico Okonkwo, tight end, he might be another good target for Cam Ward as well. It just comes to that thing where it's like, I just don't know, man. It's like, the number's not horrible. Don't mind the number, but I just can't get myself to take it. But that is something I'm for sure going to be looking at this team. It's going to be Calvin Ridley, Xavier Restrepo, if he even, like I said, makes the roster. I'm assuming he will, but obviously can't be safe and sorry. I actually didn't mention him when we were going over the 2 deep, so I want to see where he's at. Kind of where they have him at in the 2 deep. So as of right now, they have him as the 4th wide receiver behind Treylon Burks, who is the 3rd wide receiver. So that's what that. Like, yeah. Calvin Ridley is one I might seriously consider Calvin Ridley. No, but Calvin Ridley, like I said, if I'm going to bet on any receiver on that team, it is probably going to be Calvin Ridley. But I am curious to see just how Xavier Restrepo does in the season, just for the fact that they did have that college chemistry. And then another, like I said, Chico Okonkwo, Gunnar Helm, who's also coming out of college from Texas. That's another guy where it's like, some of these rookies where it's like, I'm curious to see if Cam Ward has a connection with some of these rookies or not. And the last thing I'll look at is, because I did forget to pull it up, we'll look at rushing real quick, just to see what Tony Pollard's number is, just to bring it up. I don't think I'm going to take it. I just don't. Because I don't think this team is going to nearly run the ball as much as... I don't know. Depending on the number, obviously, but it's just one of those things where I just don't know if... He's at 850. Won't lie to you. Not a horrible number at all, but I think I'm good on that, because I wouldn't be shocked if Tony Pollard didn't have the job at the end of the season. I don't think he's going to get to that point. But, like, last year he's had 1,000 yards for 3 years in a row, but he had 260 carries and got 1079 last year. It just becomes a carry thing. So I think if he gets around the 200 attempt mark again, I think that's not a bad number at all. But that number right there kind of makes me feel like if it's only 850, that's something where the books might know that he might be losing his job. I don't know. It just comes with the question. I don't have full faith in that running back room, so that's kind of why I'm leaning away from that. So, like I said, 850 is not a bad number at all, though. That is something where it's like I will be coming back to that. By the way, this number just randomly popped up. Over under 7.5 rushing touchdowns for Ashton Genty. Best believe when we get to the Raiders, we're going to be giving out that over. I know this is the Titans. I just happened to pop up. But yeah, I think betting-wise, it's probably going to do it for the Titans. Breakdown-wise, so I'll give my final thoughts. And there's one more thing I will, I guess, give out or at least talk about. Cam Ward, Offensive Rookie of the Year, plus 300. I mean, it's basically, I think that award's going to be between him, Ashton Genty, Travis Hunter as of right now. So, plus 300, don't think it's horrible at all. Just wanted to bring it up because, yeah. I don't know if it'll get any higher or lower. I would assume it, after the first 4 weeks, if I had to project, I would say the number might get a tad higher, but I don't know. Plus 300 isn't juicy enough for me to even put a sprinkle on it. If it's like plus 1,000, which I don't know if it'll get up that high, it'd be like, oh yeah, maybe, but plus 300, a little too low for my liking. So that does it for the Tennessee Titans. 2 bets I'm considering, under 5.5 for the Titans. Which, all right, I guess I don't even know if you consider it considering. I mean, that's about written in red as you can get. And then Ridley over 900.5 receiving yards. That one I'm actually I won't be shocked in a couple weeks if you hear me give it out and end up taking it. Because that's one, the more, especially now that I look at Xavier Restrepo. I don't know if that's a thing just because he's a rookie. I want to hear some more camp news. But if I hear that like Xavier Restrepo's kind of buried on the depth chart depth chart still. Like I said, if he's still buried, there's a good chance I'm probably going to end up taking this Calvin Ridley stuff. And then the one bet I do have for this team, Cam Ward over 18.5 passing touchdowns, minus 132. I just think he's going to have like a 20-10 season, something like that. I don't know if he'll maybe a little bit higher in the interceptions, maybe a little bit lower. But I think he at least throws for 20 touchdowns a season. It's just with how good he was in college and how much they needed him to score. It's like the opportunities are going to be there. It's just going to be like, do they get vultured by running backs at the goal line? And I won't be shocked if it takes all season to reach this number. I don't think it's going to be like a James Cook where it's like week 6 and we're like, hey, just threw for his 19th passing touchdown. Like, it's probably going to be a little bit of a sweaty one, but I definitely don't mind it at all. So that takes us into your boys' team, the Indianapolis Colts. Last year, like I said, they finished 8-10. 8-10. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. That doesn't sound right. 8-9. I was trying to sit there and I'm like 8-10. 8-9. Very tough last year. I think the thing that made me the most mad watching the Colts last year was defensively. It felt like the quarterbacks were just getting absolutely roasted. We had the whole issue with Anthony Richardson and I'm not even going to get into. We had Anthony Richardson just having some really good moments and having some really bad moments. Joe Flacco wasn't able to do much either. It was an 8-9 season with the Colts where it's like usually most teams you go 8-9, you're like, oh, we just missed the playoffs. It wasn't too bad. That's like a sneaky bad 8-9. Like, there were some good moments for the Colts, but realistic, there's a chance they could have won that division. Like, going into the last week or two of the season, like, they genuinely had a chance to steal that division from the Texans because the Texans were playing some bad ball to end it, but the Colts just had some. There were some losses. Colts, they had some great wins, had some losses they really, really couldn't afford. Like, the New York Giants. Losing to the Giants literally killed their playoff hopes. I don't. Because, yeah. I mean, you look at how they ended. They lose to the Giants, they beat Jackson, and then they beat Jacksonville. Like, it was so frustrating. Lose to the Ravens 31-13, just get their asses beat. And it's like, okay. But the week before that, they ended up coming back to beat the Patriots. It was a weird little stretch because, yeah, they lose 24-6 to the Lions, so it's kind of like, man, this team sucks. They have a nice comeback win against the Patriots. I don't even remember if it's a comeback, but it was a nice, really nice close win. Great drive out of Anthony Richardson where you're like, okay, the Colts are right back on track. Broncos. And then this is where it really, really fell apart. The Colts basically needed to win out to make the playoffs. They played the Broncos with 31-13. That's the game where Jonathan Taylor dropped the ball in the end zone, then hit this shit. Won't lie to you, I still see it in my head. It's just, man. And then they lose to the Giants 38-30 in a game. They beat the Titans 38-30. They lose 45-33 a game against the Giants. Literally the Giants lost the first overall pick, and that's basically where the Colts season died, was against the Broncos and then against the Giants at the end of the season. And that was a very frustrating loss. I mean, defensively, they played horrible. Offensively, there were just struggles. And now we enter the season where there are some major, major changes for the Colts. Not only defensively do they get rid of Gus Bradley. That's the fan of me. Thank God. Watching him make 0 adjustments all game and just pretty much sit back in coverage and watch the DBs we don't have get cooked. Not playing Latu more than 50% of the snaps when he's the number 1 draft pick. There's just a lot defensively. I was just not a fan of Gus Bradley for. So I ain't part of the team. Colts bring in Lou Anarumo, who's going to be the new defensive coordinator. They brought in a new linebackers coach, new passing game coordinator, secondary coach. They brought in a new defensive back coach, which all that basically needed fixed, yeah. And then basically everyone else they kept. And then the biggest change, I think, of all, Colts have a change in ownership. For those of you who haven't heard the news or haven't been on this show or channel, whatever you want to call it, Jim Irsay passed away. So with him gone, now his daughter, Carly Irsay Gordon, takes over the main ownership part of the Colts while her other 2 sisters have, like, they're integral parts, but basically, if you had to pick like a head owner, like, hey, only one of you can come into this meeting, pretty sure that'd be Carly. She spent a lot of the last couple seasons with the headset on the sidelines, learning the team. So that's something obviously, Jim's death was very unexpected, and it's not something you want to wish for because it truly was a sad moment. But when it comes to the Colts, like, I love Jim Irsay to death, but there's a little bit of loyalty with him where there were times where Jim was a little too loyal. But hey, like, you can't blame a guy for being loyal to his guys, but that's also why sometimes it takes a little bit longer to move on from guys. We've had the same GM now for 8 to 9 seasons who has Chris Ballard, who has not been the best. He's had some moments, but he has not been by far the best GM. He stayed for a little bit longer than he probably would on some other teams. Stuff like that. So it's just going to be an interesting season for the Colts because this really could be a season where I think the Colts make the playoffs. Genuinely, I do think the Colts will make the playoffs this year. If they can get the quarterback play, they should. But it could also be one of those things where if they don't make the playoffs, we could see GM fired, coach fired, moving on from Anthony Richardson, and potentially even Daniel Jones. Like, there could be... That's why this Colts team is really, really fascinating, and that's why, I won't lie to you, I am going to have a lot more futures in the second portion of it, but I think there's some decent numbers we can jump on now. Before we get into that, let's go over their depth chart real quick. And this is why I get so frustrated as a Colts fan. Their roster is actually, like, really solid. Quarterback-wise, I'm going to switch this up because of the injury. Daniel Jones is a proverbial starter, I would assume. It's a QB battle, so it's going to be either Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson. Riley Leonard's probably backing him up, with Jason being the fourth string. I love Sam Ehlinger, but who's he on now? No, he's on the Broncos. Not a horrible change for him, but I do like the idea of switching out Riley Leonard for him. I think Sam Ehlinger was not horrible, but one of those things where, like, if he ever came to the game, it's just like, oh, okay, our quarterback situation is just horrendous. And it's just nice to get him out of town because, no offense to me, Colts fans who wanted him to be put in had to be rooting for a draft pick because that boy wasn't the best. But, yeah, I don't know who's going to be the quarterback, but I think regardless, it's kind of screwed up to say, but I think I do think that there's a bit – it's one of those things where it's like with Anthony Richardson, higher ceiling, way lower floor. Daniel Jones, maybe the ceiling lowers a bit, but that floor is going to be decently steady, it feels like. Running back wise, Jonathan Taylor, Khalil Herbert, DJ Giddens, who I'm really excited for. I think he's going to end up becoming the second string over Khalil Herbert as the season goes on. Wide receiver wise, you got Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, Josh Downs, Adonai Mitchell, Ashton Julian, Anthony Gold. Sneaky good wide receiver room, in my opinion. Tyler Warren, Mo Alley Cox, Drew Ogletree, tight ends. Offensive line wise, decent amount of changes. Danny Penter's still there. He's going to be backing up center. Ryan Kelly is gone now, so now we have Bordolini, and who if I remember right, I did enjoy. Is he actually? He might be new. He might not be the center I'm thinking of. Okay, it is the second season. Yeah, I don't know if he played or not a little bit, but I don't think he's bad. If I remember correctly stuff about him, I think he is a guy that I kind of like at the offensive line. But Colts still have a really good, decent line. It's gonna be very interesting to see now what happens basically with their tackles because they lost the left tackle, lost the center, maybe lost the right guard as well. I can't remember right guard wise, but I think that they did lose that. Braden Smith's still there, Quentin Nelson's still there, but everything else has kind of changed. So we're gonna have to see what happens with that. Defensively, this is where I get really excited. Kwity Paye, Grover Stewart, DeForest Buckner, Latu. Oh man, our linebackers have changed a little bit. Alubi, Jalen Carlies? Is that how you say it? Jalen Carlies? Nick Cross, Cameron Bynum, Jadarius Ward, and Kenny Moore II. I'll admit, linebacker-wise, they did switch it up a little bit. Zaire Franklin's still there, obviously, and I'm really hoping that Zaire Franklin has another good season. But linebacker-wise, yeah, I guess they changed it up. I couldn't remember. Can't remember who it was last year that I really enjoyed. Now, damn it! But obviously, he's not there anymore. And second, some excited stuff, I guess, defensively. I'm trying to think of his name. I'll also try to continue. So I think I'm just gonna have to. I can't remember his name. I think we're just gonna have to let it go. But JT Tuimoloau, I'm very excited about that move. I like that they got Cameron Bynum and Jadarius Ward. Jalen Jones, I think, is going to be a pretty decent cornerback, assuming he can stay healthy. Juju Brents, I like him as well. Another guy, if he can stay healthy, I think he has a chance. There's a lot of guys, I think. Like, this Colts defense, I think, is with a good defensive coordinator. Like, I think Luana Rumo could potentially bring out the best in this defense. That's what's so frustrating. Like, this Colts team has a really, really decent team. You go around, like I said, Grover Stewart, DeForest Buckner, Latu, Samson Ebsicom, Quiddy Page, JT Tremolo. That's one of the best defensive lines in the league. And linebacker-wise, you got me there because I'll admit, like, oh, man. I just realized, dude, our boy's gone. Long hair. Can't think of his... What's his name, man? The dude with the long hair. There's another guy I was thinking of. I think he's gone, too. Man! Why can't I think of his name? But, damn. Yeah, but linebacker-wise, I'll admit... Now it's kind of switched where it's like, I think the cornerbacks are now really, really solid with the guys I got. I really love the defensive line. I think the linebackers are more of a proof in. I think it's mainly just because I don't know too much about their linebackers. Because, like, I'll admit, Jalen Carley's, I'm assuming that's how you say his name. I apologize if it's not. I don't even, yeah, this is his second season. I don't even remember him playing too much last year. He played in 10 games. Like, I'll admit, linebacker, defensively was so frustrating for the Colts. I think I've tuned out a lot of it from my head. But Stewart, that's, by the way, who the one linebacker is. I don't think he's on the team anymore, sadly, though, like I said, which is kind of sad because loved that boy Stewart when he came in. But linebacker-wise, that's where I'm going to... Linebackers and DBs, that's where defensively where it's going to really come for the Colts. I do like the DB upgrades. I just want to see if, like... All right, because, like, for example, a lot of the guys, like Rodney Thomas II, he was starting safety last year. Now he's second string. So it's like, okay, and I won't lie to you. I like him a lot better as a second string. Biggest thing, but I talk about all this. Basically, my opinion is going to come down to the cornerbacks can step up, which I think they will. Linebackers, I think they're going to be okay. I don't really have an issue with that. It all comes down to the quarterback with this team. Anthony Richardson, if he's starting, can they get the most out of it? Daniel Jones, if he's starting, can we get the good version of Daniel Jones and not the deer in headlights version? Because, I mean, if you, like, we talked about their schedule. There was just some games last year where it's like, it was beyond frustrating. But this year, their schedule's not too bad. Like I said, if they get good quarterback play, there's a chance, man. You start off the season, you take on Miami at home. You're home for Denver. Then you travel to Tennessee. Travel to Los Angeles to play the Rams. Home for Las Vegas. Home for Arizona. Travel to the Chargers. Home for Tennessee. Travel to Pittsburgh. I believe Berlin or... where in Germany? Somewhere in Germany they're playing Atlanta. Then they get a Week 11 bye. Very happy about that. Not too happy about playing the Chiefs, traveling to Kansas City out of the bye, then coming back home for Texans. Tough two-game trip out of the bye, but not too bad at all, especially with the Texans being at home. Travel to Jacksonville. Need to win that game, man. We haven't won in Jacksonville since 2014, 2013, something bad like that. It's been multiple years now since the Colts have won in Jacksonville. That has to be a must-win game. Their only primetime game will be not, again, traveling to Seattle, but the following week against San Francisco at home. Home for Jacksonville, and they finish the season with the Texans. So I do kind of like how they play the Jaguars twice and the Texans twice kind of in their season, because I think the schedule, that pretty much makes me feel better about my predictions for the schedule. The schedule makers are kind of in agreements with me where it's like, good chance the Colts are probably the second place team. They play the Titans early. Don't have to worry about them until late in the season. And yeah, basically Texans, Jaguars, Colts. Those are basically the three teams I think have a genuine shot at the division. I really don't think the Jaguars do. I think they're going to be another... I think similar to the... I think they're going to be better than last year, but I don't... I guess I can't say that with how bad the Colts might be. But I think the Jaguars are probably going to be third in the division. So that doesn't shock me too much there. I guess we should get more into the breakdowns. I've talked about this team a lot. I think it comes down to quarterback play, basically. If Anthony Richardson can be that guy that we've seen him he can be, this Colts team, in the great words of Michael Jordan, the ceiling is the roof. This team could go so high, but it could also have some really low lows. We basically have like the highest of highs, lowest of low quarterbacks starting for us as a Colts fan. And it's like, man. First thing I am going to take, I love how this number has moved to, over 7.5 wins at plus 100. I mean, they went 8-9 last year. I think they're going to go 8-9, 9-8, 10-7. That's basically, at the worst, I think they're going to be basically the same as last year. Especially because that schedule, man. That schedule is fucking easy. Like, that's a schedule where you look at, it's like, yeah, that should easily be 8-9 wins. So we'll just go through it. Like, I do think they can beat Miami. We'll say they lose to Denver just for combos. But I think they could potentially beat Denver as well. But lose to Miami, or beat Miami, sorry, lose to Denver. And by the way, this is me projecting the Colts being, like, a competitive and, like, competent team. I think they can beat Tennessee, probably lose to the Rams maybe. I think they can beat Vegas. I think they can beat Arizona. So what, that's 4-2. Chargers might be tough, 4-3. We'll say they just sweep the Titans for sake, 4-4. I don't know what they could beat Pittsburgh. They could lose to Pittsburgh. We'll just give that a loss, 4-5. Atlanta, they beat them 5-5. Lose to the Chiefs 5-6. Beat the Texans 6-6. Beat the Jaguars 7-6. I think they could beat Seattle 8-6. Maybe lose to San Francisco. There's 8-7. I think they could beat Jacksonville, but say they don't. 8-8. Then they lose to the Texans again. There's 8-9. So yeah, if they split all their division games, I think there's 8-9. I think any sweep in the division helps out a lot. I think this is a really good line. I think at worst, like I said, it's going to be an 8-win season for the Colts. So that's why I like their over/under. They really will have to bottom out, I feel like, to like not hit the win total. Just because like they have a team now where it's like they really got to be competitive. It's a prove-it year, like I said. I like their chances to win. Them to win the AFC South is plus 310. I'm just giving that out. That's something I might take, just because I'm not. We'll talk about it more when we talk about the Texans tomorrow, basically. But the offensive line becomes a real issue again. Like I said, this is just me being an optimist. The Colts win division plus 310. The losing the wild card round is plus 400. To lose divisionals plus 800. These are all things that I might personally take, so I just want to give them out because of that. But I don't know, man. I'd be lying to you if I said that. Oh yeah, this is for sure gonna. They're for sure gonna make the playoffs, and they're for sure gonna lose in the My thing is, if they make the playoffs, they're gonna lose in the first or second round. So that's almost. I would almost take those instead of them to win the division. I would almost just take them to lose in the wild card or lose in the divisional round. Because I don't know if they're gonna make it much farther than that. I'm probably gonna bet them to win the Super Bowl again because I'm a delusional fan and I love wasting like $25 to $50 every year on that stupid shit. No, but in all seriousness, though, over/under win total is basically my main bet I have for the Colts right now. When it comes to other stuff, I won't lie to you. I'm not going to take any quarterback props because I think both are going to play at some point this season. So I just can't feel like confident in that. If I could do like exact positioning for this division, I would do Texans 1, Colts 2, Jags 3, Titans 4, or I'd do Colts 1, Texans 2, Jags 3, Titans 4. That's I don't know the odds for that out because I don't think they have it, but that's what my thinking is for this division. I think it basically comes down to like the optimist in me thinks that the Colts have a chance. New defensive court. Like before, I won't lie to you. I came into the last offseason, I said, I'm done with the Colts. I'm not going to be optimistic anymore. Then they changed their defensive coordinator. And now, I hate to say it, but their owner did pass away. Like, vibes are completely different in that building. It's like a thing where it's like, there's so much change potential on the horizon that's like, everyone's fighting. I don't want to say fighting for a job, but it's kind of like a prove-it year for a lot of guys in the Colts. So that's why it's like I'm boosting my projections up just a little bit because it's like some of these guys, if they don't prove it, like they could be gone. Like because Carly Ursay has no like ties or anything to anybody on this staff. It's basically like a whole new. And the fact that that's the owner that could potentially feel that way, it's like man, there could be a trickle-down effect the whole way. Like I said, I don't think that it's going to get that bad where she's just like, all right, coach, you're gone. GM, gone. You gone. Chef, gone. Janitor, gone. Like I don't think it's going to get something like that bad, but there is a lot of potential of clearing shop if this team, like says, has a really, really bad season. Rookie-wise, I mean, I don't think the Colts rookie is going to even end up on any of these lists because yeah, I like JT, but I just don't think he's going to get the stats to be on any of these lists. Oh, or JT Tuimoloau, not Jonathan Taylor, by the way. Rushing wise, that is something I might be a little bit more tempted in, but like I said, passing wise, they don't even have Anthony Richardson's lineup, or they don't have Daniel Jones up because even the books don't know what the hell the Colts are going to do. Jonathan Taylor, that's not the thing I thought it was. Jonathan Taylor, where is he at? Because I didn't say this. 1,200 rushing yards. I know he's good, but damn. That probably is something that, though, if we do, I do think the Colts are going to try to get more out of the run game this year just to help the two quarterbacks. But, I mean, last year he had 1,400 rushing yards, 303 attempts. The year before that, 740. I mean, he had basically 2022, 2023 were rough on him when it comes to that yardage. And he had 192 attempts, 169 attempts. So, yeah. He had 303 last year. So that's something where it's like, okay. 1,200 is still a lot of yards. I don't want to take the under on that, but as of right now, I just lean under very slightly just because I don't know how much he's going to run, especially since we have 2 quarterbacks. You know what? I'm not going to do it because I'm a Colts fan, but generally, if I wasn't a Colts fan, that under 1,200 for Jonathan Taylor would tempt me just because of the fact that now they have 2 running quarterbacks. So it's not like if Anthony Richardson's hurt, all right, Joe Flacco's in. He's for sure not running. Like, Daniel Jones will run it. Anthony Richardson will run it. So I wouldn't be shocked if there's chances where they run like QB options, QB reads, read options, anything like that, and it's quarterback decides to keep it a lot more often. So that's personally a reason why I'm going to stay away for that. I am excited for Josh Downs and what he might do this year. Michael Pittman, excited for him as well. I mean, they don't even give the Colts an option for a pass catcher to have any over-under for anything like that. So it's, all right, cool. We basically get to ignore that, I guess. They don't have anything up for the Titans or them when it comes to team specials. I think I'm going to ignore those anyway this year because of how volatile both these teams could be. And like I said, we talked about that part, so that's probably going to do it for the Colts too. There's just too much volatility, so there's a lot of stuff, like I said. I lean the under a tad bit on Jonathan Taylor just because but that's another thing. It's like, man, they might have to run him a lot if these quarterbacks are truly struggling, and it would be so much helpful. So it goes both ways. Not 100% sure, but I am going to take their over-under at 7.5 wins. When it comes to rushing touchdowns, they still don't have those numbers up yet, so I have to wait. But rushing touchdowns-wise for Jonathan Taylor, and, man, I don't know again, because Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones, there's just, like, it just stinks because truly if Anthony Richardson starts, there's a chance that you're getting 13 completions a game and 26 pass attempts. Daniel Jones, maybe that's 20 for 40. Because he can, I don't know. There's just so much volatility that can come at quarterback. Because Daniel Jones has had some really, really good games. He's had some really bad games. Anthony Richardson had some really good moments. Have had some hide the kids, hide the wives moments. So we're just going to have to see. Overall, though, for the Colts, I like their... Damn it. I was messing with my pens while I was talking and broke my damn pen. But no, for the Colts... I do like their over-under at 7.5 wins. Like I said, at worst, I think this is an 8-win team unless the floor really, really bottoms out. Because schedule-wise, they do have a very nice schedule. AFC South winners for the Colts is plus 310. I don't think I'm going to take that. If anything, for them to lose in the wild card at plus 400 or to lose in the divisional at plus 800, those are 2 bets I might consider taking myself. I wouldn't probably give them out. But like I said, wide receiver-wise, I don't know. I'm interested what some of Tyler Warren's numbers are. Those aren't out yet, so we're going to have to wait for basically not part 2, but round 2 of me, like basically the law. What I still don't know if I came up with a name for that. Was it the Lost Futures? We'll just go with that for now. Working title, the Lost Futures. That's probably where I'll talk a little bit more about some of the Colts receivers that come out with stuff. But there's a chance they don't do anything with this team because Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones might both be starting this season, so they just don't know, which wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, in total, if you want all the futures for today, for sure locked in on Cam Ward over 18.5 passing touchdowns minus 132. For sure on the Colts over 7.5 wins plus 130. Kind of lean the Titans under at 5.5. Don't think I'm going to take it. The one I do think I'm kind of going to take is Ridley over 900.5 receiving yards at minus 114. And those are basically the 4 that for this part 1 that we're going to do. Thank you all for watching this report. I really do appreciate it. Today's more of a breakdown than the bets because I won't lie to you. These are 2 teams where the quarterback volatility really makes it hard to pick because Cam Ward could be either really good or he could be an average rookie and he struggles a little bit and it won't be too shocking because, hey, playing quarterback in the NFL is hard. But it sounds like from camp and everything sounds like he might be a guy if he can figure it out. And then when it comes to the Colts, I mean, they got Daniel Jones, White Vic. They got Anthony Richardson. I don't know if he has a nickname or not, honestly, at this point. But it's, man, like I said, there's just so much volatility that could happen. So it's going to be interesting to see what these 2 teams come from. I could see the Colts making the playoffs, winning a game or 2. I could also see them having a rough season and going 7-10. For the Titans, I don't think they're going to get any more than 8 or 9 wins, but I do think this is potential for them to figure out what they really have with Cam Ward. With that being said, we will be back tomorrow to talk about AFC South Part 2. I'll be going over the Houston Texans, and I will be going over the Jacksonville Jaguars. So thank you all for watching. Thanks for support. I really do appreciate it. Yet again, sorry for the delay that it came out a day later, but still came out, baby. So I will see everyone back in this feed tomorrow.